Good morning. Happy Sunday. This is our Facebook Live that we are excited for you to join. My name is Selene Kepila and I'm here with Ansele. Also with me is Hannah, and I wanted to welcome her and have her on a Facebook Live. Thank you so much for making yourself on a Sunday available. We met actually not so long ago, but Hannah was introduced to me, and I was really fascinated with her and her story and her techniques. And I know you're in for a very special treat, so I want to encourage everyone to stay on till the end of our short Facebook Live here Sunday. And if you'd like to ask questions, please do so, interact with us. But she's a new addition here at Ansele, and she'll be not only providing the services that she's going to be talking about or the techniques to our clients. She also has many other interesting things about her. So I want to welcome you again and introduce you to the group and audience so that they can get to know you better. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. So it's funny because I actually watched one of Celine's Facebook Live about the muscle testing.
Yes.
And so with that, I was like, that's exactly what I do. I was like, I have to reach out.
Yeah.
So I got connected with Celine because one of the modalities that I use for healing is something called Neuro Emotional Technique. And so with this technique, kind of just a backup as far as my backstory. So I'm a licensed counselor, licensed professional counselor, and I also teach yoga, and I'm a Reiki healer. And so with all these modalities together, it really has shown me how the body and the mind together can bring so much healing.
Yeah.
So with that, I learned this technique, Neuro Emotional Technique, because it integrates the mind and the body. So within the body, as well as the neurology, comes together to help release emotional stressors. And we do that with muscle testing.
Yes.
So I was like, I have to tell Celine about this.
Yes. No, I was really excited because you had me going, because anything neuro, anything brain, I've been specializing in the brain for 20 some years, and I am always about new techniques, new modalities, and your approach was different than, I mean, of course, you utilized the muscle testing, which I was familiar with, but you brought in a few other things that it was very new to me, and I got to learn a lot of cool things. So I was really excited. So tell us more.
Yeah. Okay. So neuro emotional technique. So what this does is it targets emotional stressors that are like held in the physiology of the body, right? So it's like, say you had a traumatic experience with a dog when you were a kid. And so you have that traumatic experience, a lot goes on, and now maybe in your adulthood, you're still kind of like afraid triggered by dogs, or you see a dog and it's kind of like, the body flinches before you even are able to think about like, oh, that's a friendly dog, or whatever. So the neuro emotional technique can help to resolve kind of that trigger response, that automatic kind of fight or flight response. And so it's a little bit like, without experiencing it in your body, it's a little bit hard to talk about. So I'll do my best to explain it. So what you do is we would open up the situation where we're finding what you want to be congruent with in your life. So like taking the dog experience, if you want to say like, I'm okay around dogs. Like you want that to be your truth.
Right. Okay.
Even though you had that traumatic experience, you want to kind of resolve the dog trigger. So with that, it's like, okay, so your statement is, I'm okay being around dogs. And if you are okay with that in your whole body, in consciousness, subconscious, and unconscious levels of the body, we'll use the muscle test. Here, I'll show you this way. And if that's congruent, then your muscle will hold strong as I push down, right? But if on some level you're still not okay with the dog, then you say, I'm okay being around dogs, the muscle test will fail. Right. Because in some way there's a break in the neurology where it's like, no, I am not okay with dogs still.
Exactly.
Right?
Our body always speaks the truth.
Yes.
We always know the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
The truth is always inside of us.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And so it's interesting because we get to utilize, an access point to the subconscious and the unconscious. Because within psychology, so neuro-emotional technique is not like therapeutic experience. It's not psychotherapy. Even though I am licensed to practice that, it's different. What it does is it's basically giving you access to all the 80% of conscious or subconscious and unconscious brain that we don't usually get access to.
Absolutely.
And so the way to do that is you use the meridian lines and the pulse points of the hand. And I'll show you a technique later where you can do this on your own. And Selene uses it sometimes too, so it's perfect. But through Chinese meridian lines, it gives you access points through the pulse to understand emotions. So what I say by that is if you were to hold one of the pulse points, it's kind of like, you're in New York and you see the subway entrance. It's, those stairs that walk down. That's the entry point to getting into the subway. And then down there's like all the subways and all the things with all the different emotions. So what we would do is you say, okay, I'm okay being around dogs. Okay, your muscle failed. So on some level you're not. So then we find which emotion is stuck, which is making you not okay with the dog. So then we would find the emotional point through the meridian, and then we would target that emotion and go and clear that emotion through the body. So then at the end, after the whole process, I kind of walk you through different stages of how to, talk through and really find the deepest link to the emotion that's wrapped around why you're not okay with dogs. And then with that, we can actually target the original event where you first were not okay with dogs. And so you can actually muscle test the age, and it's not the exact age, but it's your perception or idea of what age.
Right, exactly. And our perception is our truth.
It is. It's absolutely our truth, no matter what. So we can actually find the original event. And so you're not only clearing, I'm okay with dogs from present day, but you're clearing it most likely from that trauma, or if something was even earlier than that, we would muscle test to see.
Cool.
And then at the end of it, we come back after the full procedure and say, so you hold out your arm again, I'm okay being around dogs, and now the muscle test holds strong.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So it's amazing to be able to have that, like within 15 minutes, have that physical body difference.
Yes.
And so with the muscle test, it's amazing to feel as well, because you're like, whoa, the muscle's not breaking, the muscle's not going weak, it's holding strong.
Absolutely. So it's interesting because you take it, like my traditional muscle testing that I did on the thing was just, doing those quick little muscle tests. What I love that you've studied and the art that you bring in is those deeper elements of, okay, finding out like, okay, what age were you, and, have you, just all of these other components to it, which is really cool. And then going and clearing them. That's really neat. Now, how, so it's effective for anyone who has these sorts of triggers, right? Or they want to find a truth of maybe where they are weaker at, right? What, maybe tell us a story about maybe someone you did this on and the outcome of it. Just one of your favorite stories.
Let's see. Okay, so I have a friend who was working with Neuro Emotional Technique, and she was struggling like in her business as far as like really getting it rolling, kicking off financially. She's just trying to do the best she can, but she's having some blocks. And so we did a Neuro Emotional Technique clearing around her just holding physical money. And holding physical money, the muscle went weak because she was not comfortable with like having that much money and having the idea of that much money. So when we cleared all of her emotional stressors around it and did NET around the money, then like a couple months later, her business booming.
You mentioned the word NET. Explain what NET is.
Oh yeah, NET. So Neuro Emotional Technique.
Okay,
that's just what it is.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, okay. NET. It's the. Yeah.
And is that a long study? How long did it take for you to train in that?
So to get certified, it takes around about a year or so. It took me 14 months-ish through the whole process.
I bet it was really helpful from being from the counseling side.
Yes.
And then being able to really, it's one thing counsel and you're kind of getting feedback from someone, but then if you're kind of not sure, you can say, okay, now let's muscle test this. And you know, sometimes we think we're some way and we're really not. We have these hidden blocks, or it's unconscious to us, right?
Yeah. I mean, even in therapy, but even too just in like affirmations, you know, and people, like so many people these days are saying affirmations, right? Because that's like a big thing right now. It's like, I am bliss and I am peace and I am love and all these things.
I'm healthy. I don't have this disease or this issue. Yeah,
exactly. And so you can muscle test and do NET with those affirmations to see if your body and your mind and like all the parts of your brain are okay and congruent with that. So if you're saying, and you do this affirmation every day, I am abundant beyond belief, and then you stick out your arm and say it and it goes weak, like there's something in the neurology that doesn't believe that to be true.
Yes.
So then you can go in, do the procedure, muscle test, and then at the end it's like, okay, now my affirmation can actually stick.
Absolutely. I mean, there's power in our thoughts, there's power in our words, there's power in our actions, but as you just said, there's got to be that deep knowingness, that deep belief on all levels, not just, you know, our outer level, but our inner level knows, and, you know, it can't be fooled.
Right.
You know? Yeah. That's awesome.
I mean, that's exactly just like you get gut feelings.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And like, what is that? Your brain is not like, this is a gut feeling. It's like literally in your gut. It's true. Saying something.
It's true. Absolutely. We have to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Let's see if we have any questions. That's okay. We'll keep going a little bit longer. It's so maybe we could give a couple of examples, a couple of tidbits, like something you could share where somebody could, let's say someone's stressed or having a stressful moment. Maybe they're at work or in traffic. What's something they could do that could be useful to them using some of these techniques that you were talking about?
Yeah. So there's something called FAST. So it's first aid stress technique.
Okay.
And so the FAST, it's not the Neuro Emotional Technique in full, but it's like a quick way for you to deal with whatever stressors you have in the moment.
Okay.
And then it would be something where you would then go back, you know, to see a practitioner, like come into me and be like, okay, I had this thing come up.
Yeah.
So what it is a couple of things I'll start. So the meridian points are on your wrist, on the outer part where the end of kind of the thumb is, and then 3 fingers down your wrist. Okay? So you would wrap around your hand, and I'll kind of show you. So you have your pointer finger at the base of the thumb, and then 1, 2, 3 fingers down the wrist. And you should be able to feel your pulse, your heartbeat a little bit there. So what you do with that is accessing all of the emotional points through these meridian lines. So then,
are there 4 different emotional, or are there more? I mean,
there are more. Okay. So this is like wood.
Okay.
Water,
fire, earth.
Fire, earth. Yeah.
Got it.
So those points, metal. Yep. And each wrist has different ones. So that's why we'll do it with both wrists.
Okay.
But then what you do is you take your palm, and you have 2 meridian points that are right above the eyebrows called the emotional points. So this is going to help you with the emotion.
Yeah.
So you'll put your hand across the forehead to cover those emotional points, and then you'll round and curl down, maybe even rest your elbows on your knees or your thighs, and then you feel the pulse in your fingertips, and then you think about what is stressing you right now. See if you can kind of conjure up that feeling, or you probably already have that feeling. And then you'll take 3 to 5 deep breaths. And say after these 3 breaths, then we're just going to switch hands. So when you're ready now, the opposite hand, you're going to come to the outside. Again, thumb, right underneath the thumb, then 1, 2, 3. Yep. And then palm across the forehead. And now round and over again. And then here, 3 to 5 breaths. Good. And you would just do that and hold that for as long as you felt like that stress was still there.
Okay.
And that helps to kind of just calm the nervous system and calm any of the emotions that are rising.
Okay.
And then you kind of just take note, like, hey, what caused this?
Yeah.
And then we could talk about it in session.
Okay, cool.
Kind of thing.
You mentioned something too, I remember, the difference, like how our energy is when we're sitting kind of forward, and then the reasoning for leaning forward. Tell us about that.
So there's a study that kind of talked about those who processed emotions with the tall spine versus rounding over. And so what happens is when you have a tall spine, that gives you access to like consciousness.
Yep.
So your frontal lobe here, and like very thinking brain, very wizard brain.
Yep.
But when you try to process emotions, that's not where emotions are held. Emotions are held further back.
Yep.
So when you round and curl over, then you give access to the subconscious part of the brain, the mammalian brain, and that is where you can actually process and move through the emotional states.
I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. So with that, you know, and you kind of see it too, like when you're crying, you know, you're like really emotional, you cry and you're like, oh,
right.
Like your body naturally does it.
Yes.
Like when you want to go in the fetal position, curl up in bed, like
Yeah.
your body's naturally doing it.
Okay.
So again, like following the intuition of the body.
That's amazing.
For the emotions. It's awesome.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That is fun. So then, how does, just explain how your sessions work. So if you wanted to book a session with Hannah, we're going to give you her information, but you can also call our office, 818-914-6924, and book a session with her. And she basically, you tell them like how you lay out a session. So you talk with them over the phone, and they'll tell you, hey, what I'd like to work on, and then you would devise the time accordingly, right?
Yeah. So with each category, so say we're talking about the dogs again, and you want to be okay with being around dogs. That one category would take about 15 minutes.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah,
actually.
Pretty quick actually. And that's with going to the root cause of it. If you wanted to stay surface level, we could clear that 2 minutes.
Right. There's sometimes people want to know like deep in the background, and then sometimes people don't care. They're just like, fix it.
That's too much. Like, let's just fix it now.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends on what you want to work on. What I would do is I would schedule, you know, with Selene and offering this, I want to open up offering like the first 15 minutes free so that you actually get to try this technique with yourself, with your body, just to see how it feels for you. But then I would book each kind of topic for 15 minutes out. So maybe a session would be half an hour, 45 minutes. I would do an hour, but I wouldn't do longer than an hour session, just because sometimes the body is really processing a lot, especially if you're going deep.
Right.
So yeah, hour max.
Yeah. And you find that the work is permanent, or how does it stick or stay, or what are those factors?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It's interesting because I was just talking to another client about this, and they're like, well, does it come back? I'm like, well, if we clear it at its root, and we make sure like that was the lowest level that it was at, then it's cleared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Done.
Right.
So that also, though, leaves the window open for the body to then understand, oh, maybe there's more emotions tied around this subject. And then it might open up the body's ability to then process through those other emotions.
Right.
So we might find that the dog thing was out of fear, but then all of a sudden grief is in there, or surprise, or anger. You know, so many different things.
Yeah, that's true.
So it really depends. Like if it was kind of just one isolated situation and, you know, we clear it from there. Or sometimes the body's like, okay, we're on this roll. Like, let's clear all these emotions. But once we clear it, it's congruent.
Yes.
It's congruent.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
that's my experience too.
yeah.
We do something a bit similar, but it's also very different, and that's what I love about having Hannah here, because we see a lot of clients with various needs and health concerns and health goals, and it is just like raising a child. Sometimes it takes a village, right? So when we heal, sometimes there's slightly different approaches that are very helpful in a person's journey. So If there's any questions out there, please don't hesitate to ask. And it's not too late, too. If there was something you wanted to ask, even later on, we'll be responding to this post.
Yeah,
The offering is very generous of you to offer that. I think that's really awesome, and you should definitely take up Hannah on that. And like I said, we will make sure you get her information and a way to learn more about her if you missed the first part of this Facebook Live. And do you have any additional information that you'd like to share?
just like ways to reach out to me, and like through Selene, of course. You can reach out to me. My phone number is 720-308-7833. My Instagram handle is Doin, Doin, Yoga with Hannah. So you can reach me there. HANNAH. Yep. Yep.
Right. Okay, good.
So, but
good.
otherwise, yeah, like I'm more than happy to have a phone call, talk to you about some things, see if this is a good fit for you. NET, Neuro Emotional Technique, also can help with like body aches and pains. So if there's an emotional component tied to like a sore arm or a sore elbow joint, we can muscle test and see if that pain is also having an emotional stress response. And then we can clear the emotional stressor so that maybe the pain, like the body can actually do its healing. So it's also able to, work through the body.
Yeah.
You can check like the thyroid, see if there's emotions tied around any of your thyroid issues. I mean, there's so many things.
Because I really believe that everything in the non-physical eventually shows up in the physical. And when we do start to have symptoms or pains, it's our body's way of saying, hey, knock, knock, hey, help me, something's not right here, we need to deal with this. And unfortunately, sometimes it has to get to that physical point before we are realizing of it, but the good news is we can work on those deeper emotional levels that actually do have a lot to do with the physical pain. And I think that is something that was pretty surprising to me in my early beginnings, because doing the brain work that we do, often lifted the traumas, the stresses, the emotional aspects of it, and then, someone would go from, these, if 10 was the worst, like these 8, 9, and 10 pain levels, they were just dealing with them so much differently, and they didn't feel the pain in their body so much more. And this is such a quick and easy way to do this and to reconnect to all of that. So, hello, Sandra. Thanks for joining us today. Do you have any questions? Well, this is awesome. I guess we are coming to the end of our session today, but I wanted to thank everyone for being on this Facebook Live today. I wish everyone a very happy Sunday, and please don't hesitate to reach out, make comments, whatever. And again, welcome. I'm so excited to have you a part of here. So,
thank you.
All right, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.